Welcome back to the table and even more of our On the Road to Gen Con coverage. Today we've got another expansion.
Yeah.
I didn't really realize how many major expansions were going to be there.
Three big ones.
Some just for demo, but others for sale, including this one. This is the Lost Ruins of Arnak expansion, The Missing Expedition. Yes?
I want to put a caveat on what you just said.
Okay.
This will be on sale at Gen Con for maybe 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. If you're a fan of Lost Ruins of Arnak, you might want to go to their booth quickly, because there's a short list of games and expansions that I think are just going to go off the shelves. And this is one of them. Now, my guess is they'll probably have plenty of this, but I have no idea.
I mean, when Lost Ruins came out, it was hard to get. I mean, they were selling out. They would set daily allotments and sell out almost immediately.
Yeah, which I'm sure almost everyone has daily allotments for things. This will definitely, at least most likely, fall into that category. So if you're interested, get there and check it out. But whether you get there and check it out or buy one or not, we're going to give you an idea specifically of what the campaign element of this is, because that is the big thing here. Now, there are 2 new characters to use. We'll talk about them a little bit more. And if you've seen our prior content on this, it was mostly just speculation. Some of it, I think we were at least all on the right track.
We were on the nose on some things, but like David said, this is primarily a campaign game. Now, if you want, you can just buy this. If you have no interest in playing the campaign, you can take all the cards, all the components, shuffle them in.
And there's plenty of those.
That's not how they want you to play. They want you to play over the course of 6 different games, and you're actually kind of tracking your progress. You're trying to complete some goals and achievements. You're unlocking cards that will be carried on through the entire campaign. So there's definitely a lot of fun moments that are going to occur as you play through that campaign. So it's definitely the recommended way to play this.
Oh, for sure. And I think that campaign is going to bring what this game needs for me to get it back to the table more. As much as I love this game, it hasn't seen my table terribly frequently. Now, I know it's on BGA now.
I played on BGA quite a bit.
A lot of people are playing there. But this is a nice way for 2 people, probably me and Alicia, sorry Ryan, to get this to the table and play through this campaign. It gives you that experience of like, oh, we unlock this achievement, we get to add this card now to our game experience. That is all perfectly fit to the theme of this game of exploration and discovery, which I think nothing like this had existed.
Well, and they actually do give you a story. So it kicks off with a story segment, how you got here, and it kind of starts you off with that first chapter. And the game scenario book is actually going to tell you how to set up your chapter. And this is going to use components from the expansion. It's going to use some components from the base game. What's really cool is they actually even show you they have a deck of cards, and it's like each segment of each chapter has a special deck, and it just tells you all the cards that you need to set out, including the expedition cards that are out here. You have your goal cards, you have some special achievement cards, and maybe some special components that are going to get mixed in. And it's going to tell you how to set up the board, which we've done here. And you notice that it looks different than a normal setup. You've got some different cards out here. The idols are a little different. This track over here looks a little different.
Yeah.
Of course, we do have some of our components for our characters out as well. If you've played Expedition Leaders and you've started to see what some of those characters do, they modified maybe some setup steps as well. And you know, we even had like this crazy location that actually changed one of the base locations down here and gave us kind of a task to do right at the start of the first chapter. So it definitely really changes up the gameplay.
Yeah, and I want to warn you right now, a minor spoiler alert. We're not going to ruin the game experience of this. All we're going to dig into here is the first scenario, the first chapter, if you will, and even that, just the setup, which kind of goes through some of these achievements that you want to try to accomplish during the campaign, and some of the other things that happen when you're setting up. We might show you some of those cards. But again, these are the sorts of things you'll find and see for yourself very first time you set this up.
And there are 2 cards for your goals. You can play this solo or with 2 players. Either way that you do it, you use a rival player, so you do set up a third player that's kind of competing with you for some of these goals. So there is still kind of that element of tension. And also, a lot of these achievements are going to have you collaborate and work together. For example, we have this Soda Pop card over here. This is an achievement that we can only get. It's called Customer of the Year. But we have to spend 14 coins on items over the course of the game. So that's something that you got to decide, okay, let's just try to get coins. Let's try to buy items. We really want to complete these achievements. Because completing these achievements is going to give you cards that carry out throughout the course of the campaign.
Yeah.
And also, you have this cool little map here, and there's a ton of icons. As you complete achievements, it's going to have you cross out some icons on these paths, and as you move down the storylines, it's going to send you to different chapters in the book to read, and then it's going to just, who knows, give you a ton of other stuff.
Yeah, we haven't even looked at the narrative aspect of this, but it has a lot of flavor in that campaign book that you're going to read. But like we said, you're going to mark off, some of those are just, you can mark off any one of those icons. Some of them are very specific, but as you do that, it's going to sort of unfold that story. The other card here we have is the Owl Idol. Now this is tied to an achievement in this first chapter that sounds pretty challenging, because it's associated with this board over here. You have to go all the way up the research track. And by the way, to get up to the top, we're going to have to defeat these guys, which is
our goal anyway.
It's the overall goal, is defeating these two guardians sitting here. And as you can see, those guardians are guarding yet more new cards that can be added to the game. Once we get past that, if both of us get up to the top and get one of these tiles that were up here, then
that's a hard one.
Then and only then can we get this Owl Idol for the rest of our game.
Yeah, and of course this expansion really emphasizes that teamwork. It is fully cooperative. In fact, they even give you this cool little pigeon token, which you can use once per round. You can flip it over and have the pigeon carry a resource to your teammate. So if they're like 1 gem short of climbing or something, you can actually just give them the gem if you have access, which is, I mean, that is really cool. It allows you to kind of help out in a really important way.
Yeah, so these locations, Ryan, tell me a little bit more about those.
Yeah, so you replace, and again, the setup is going to be very different, but you've got a deck of these expedition cards, and we're not even using all of them. So you're not even going to see the same cards every time you play. It tells you to put these out all for Chapter 1. When you go there, and spoiler alert, we're going to show one, but again, this is very basic. Each one of these cards is an encounter that you're going to go through. You're going to read some text, and then you're going to choose an option, and each one of these are multi-optional. And they can give you rewards, they can give you some bonuses going forward, or they can give you some story segments in the book. You don't really know what you're going to get. Then you just kind of, do the action there like normal.
Yeah, it's just more flavor for experiencing the game, really.
And some of these things should help you out with some of your goals as well. I mean, because these are specific to Chapter 1, so you are kind of uncovering more of a narrative as you go, and you have to explore these locations in Chapter 1. They make you do it because they have this new fog token here. This is like to represent how foggy the island is. You can't climb up past this fog token. You have to discover tiles, and this fog token will move up over time.
And spend movement.
Yeah, and spend some boots. But it'll let you move up over time, and so you eventually you can reach and defeat those guardians as well. But yeah, you have to come out here and explore. So they've really tied that together, not just thematically, but also mechanically.
And like with the last expansion, they've introduced 2 new characters here, one of which, Ryan's the journalist.
I'm playing the journalist.
And it actually, one of the things allows you to kind of interact with this a little bit differently than everyone else, right?
Yeah, the journalist actually, his notebook can be higher than his magnifying glass, which nobody else can
Just by one space, right?
Just by one space, but it does kind of, it gives you a little bit of flexibility there that you don't always have. That's not their only power.
No.
The journalist also has these articles that they can write as they visit each location. I'm just noticing I forgot those 2. But as you visit each location, you can take one of these, you can write an article about that location, you take this token and put it in front of you, and then later you can publish this article by placing it on your player board, covering up some bonuses and getting those bonuses that you cover. So you have to kind of spread out and investigate a lot of different places in order to collect those, in order to gain all of these rewards. And some of the journalists' blue icon slots are linked to that as well. So you have to complete a row to get access to those blue slots.
Yeah, my character, the mechanic, doesn't have nearly as many tokens out on the board, but I do have some here across the track here. I've got these widgets that happen, and I'm getting to get more of those throughout the game. Plus I have a couple here that I might be able to get throughout the game, not to mention this little helper monkey.
That you get on round 3?
That I get on round 3. Those widgets are going to go in this wheel that I have on my player board, and a lot of my cards, the unique cards and some of those actions, allow me to rotate that wheel. And when I do, I'm going to be able to, depending on the type of rotation, there's a gold and a silver. If it's a silver, I can pick one of the silver widgets that's actually on the gear itself. Or if I've added the widgets, if it's a gold maneuver, I can actually choose the gold one instead, which is obviously a little bit more powerful.
Yeah, now what's cool about this campaign mode is it did give you these 2 new characters, but you don't have to play the campaign with these characters. You can't even play them if you don't have the Hidden Leaders expansion or Expedition Leaders
Yeah.
expansion. If you don't have that, you don't need it. You can just play these 2 characters. They actually give you in the rules 2 bonus characters that you can create actually just with the stuff from the base game
That's cool.
with some special powers. Yeah, so they don't require you to have that
The last
Expedition Leaders expansion.
yeah.
But I think a lot of people that are getting this probably do. And the cool thing is that you can substitute out your characters between missions or between scenarios.
Oh, cool.
So you can actually look at the scenario and then decide, well, I think this character might be better. Like, the journalist is great for this because we have to go to all these locations anyway. But you might be in a situation where you're like, well, I think a different leader would be better. They kind of say that represents your entire team and you're just sending out 2 people at a time. So you have that flexibility to switch it up.
Yeah, it's really cool. This is yet another expansion where they've really put in a lot of thought to what to add, not only what to add, but like the fact that this really adds what this game I think it cries for is that whole feeling of exploration and all of that. You really get the sense that you're doing that as this sort of evolves over time, which I think is probably the coolest thing. Like I said, I think that's going to get me to get this to the table a lot more.
They dove into theme. I mean, just these cards, like it was cool. Okay, you flip a location, you discovered a location, but now having like a story event.
Right, with a choice.
With a choice, especially, is very cool.
I mean, it really feels good for this type of game. But anyway, that is what we know right now. We haven't dug into playing it much, but we might do that after Gen Con, so that we can bring you maybe even a live play of this or something, perhaps, if you're lucky. But if you have any questions about it at all, please make them in the comments below. We'll get down there and answer whatever we can.
Yep.
And if you see us at Gen Con, say hello.
Please do.
We'll say hello back. Until next time, make sure everyone has fun at the table, and we'll see you then.